forgot how much stuff I have up here. I've gotten a lot of candles and I haven't figured out a good way to like organize my candles. So it's chaotic right now. We'll live. Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm back. Another video. How exciting. I need to finish this in less than 10 minutes because I'm baking bread and I don't want my bread to burn. That would be the worst. Today I'm gonna go over all the books that I finished in November of 2022. Oh my God, it's getting so late in the year. Okay, so to begin with, I actually can't find my copy. I might have lent it to someone. I might have not lent it to someone. Who knows? That is Parable of a Sower by Octavia Butler. I did talk about it in my October reading wrap up because I finished it like November 1, you know? But yeah, I talked about it already. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting look and an interesting handling of the kind of events that make you like need a new way, like need a new philosophy. I thought it was kind of a cool like Afrofuturism, but almost Afrofuturism light, where it's getting into those elements, but it's not, it's like the early stages, in the same way the book itself is like early stages of a religion. Yeah, it's a really dark book, but I do think it's it has a excellent understanding of power dynamics and risks and threats. And yeah, I'm really sad because there was supposed to be like a whole like 5 books, but unfortunately Butler passed before she was able to finish it. So I want to read the second, which was actually able to be completed. Yeah, okay, after that, what did I read? Oh, this was actually that, and this one were both book club picks, and this one is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I cannot remember who writes it. I'll put it up somewhere. 3 stars to me. Like, this was, I thought it was cool. I would have watched it if it was a TV show, maybe, but I thought it was like, there was no dynamic reflection. I didn't feel like I learned any of these characters' personal philosophies. I feel like it was a cool way to identify like what would happen if a bunch of not alike people were all in the same room, but it didn't do that much to make me think, how would our perspectives on the world and the universe change? And it felt like all these people with like pretty well established views, and we're just sort of learning like, well, this is what like my, you know, race of beings believe for my planet, and not so much like I as an individual have these values, and this is how my values clash with people back home, this is how my values clash with people here, this is what I think of these people in an interesting and dynamic and cutting. It was very feel good, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but like, I don't know, I don't really I didn't really enjoy that. Like, that's not my taste in a book. I think a lot of people would like it. I think especially if you're into sci-fi, if you're into like a found family cast of characters, you would enjoy this. I just tend to like things that are like maybe a little bit more biting than that book was able to be. Is it Becky I think it might be Becky Chambers who wrote it. Next up, I read Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hersey or Hersey. I think it's Hersey. And this I thought was a really, I'm so glad I read it after I read Parable of a Sower, because I feel like there are, even though it's nonfiction, there are these ties and these nods to Afrofuturism in that book as well. I read it for the Financial Diet, their book club, and I found it, the premise of the book is Hersey's exploration of abandoning grind culture, abandoning the sense of needing to work, constantly needing to be busy, identifying a lack of productivity as laziness. And it's a fabulous book because it intersects on, you know, race and productivity and output, and it shows how like this is what we're expected to do, but like this isn't fulfilling us as people. And I thought it was really beautiful. I also thought, in a way, like that her concept of the nap ministry and her like religious ties into her views on resting in a way reminded me of Parable of the Sower, the idea like we're seeing the sprouts of a religion, we're seeing the sprouts of this nap ministry movement. I thought it was, in a way, I wish the book was slightly more how-to, but it kind of got repetitive in a way. But at the same time, I did feel like it wasn't a very long book, and so I thought it did a good job of kind of like reassuring a reader who needs to hear that maybe more than once. I myself, I don't necessarily think I struggle. Like, I mostly have that self-talk of like, well, I am a lazy person, so when I'm like, that's just who I am. I feel like some people, they have it like, I will be identified as lazy if I don't do these things, versus I feel like I always had the conditioning of like, well, I'm a lazy person, so why am I even gonna bother? That's like kind of deep. I don't mean it like, I don't have a personal opinion about that. I think that's not a thing. Like, there's no lazy human. Like, the same person who can be working 12 hours straight can sleep until 3 p.m. on a Sunday and like not do anything that day. Laziness is not a character trait that you have, and I think a lot of people who are told they're lazy are told that and then they believe it in themselves. So if someone's told you that you're lazy, ignore them, do whatever you want to do. And if you're worried about being lazy, you deserve to be lazy sometimes. We all do. But I think about myself and how I take time to rest, and I will say I don't think I take a lot of time to rest where I'm alone with my thoughts, sitting, thinking, meditating, reflecting. I think a lot of the time I spend resting, I am being like I'm watching something, or like even reading in a way. Like, I think a lot of my time, my like attention is being taken away from myself and put someplace else. So I think I need to work on that. I think that's what this book taught me, is to work on putting your attention into non like entertained spaces and into reflective spaces. Then because I got a library card, I listened to Journey to the Center of the Earth. I think I've read most of these this month on audiobook, but I listened to Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. It was fun. I just kind of wanted to read some, sci-fi, classical sci-fi books. Oh my gosh, what is this? There Is a New Nation. I mentioned this in a previous video. It's this kind of short story collection from basically talking about South Sudan. Very good. I put a link in my last video to get access to this. There's not many copies left. I thought it was very nice, and it's inspired me to want to read more about more specifically like Sudanese literature, South Sudanese literature, but also generally looking at the continent and trying to read more from the continent itself. Then I read Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra, like a very short, very easy read. And I thought this was like also kind of a 3 stars. It was like interesting, creepy horror. I thought it had some cool like social commentary involved, but I think it was like a little lackluster. I think it didn't do enough to creep me out, and I really just did not care about this group of friends that's described in the book. I was like, you guys seem like you all hate each other. I don't have friends like that. Like, I like all my friends, and I mean, I'm kind of guessing, but I think they like me. I don't think I'd ever be in a situation where I was in a room with people where it's like most of the people I have a problem with. Like, I don't go into that room. I don't know. I do think there's a point of saying that like when you struggle with mental illness, even like really good friends can become, it can become an area where like your friendships don't withstand that. But I feel like in my experience, all of my friendships that I've had that are like really deeply and held, like I could never imagine the way that this book handles that. I don't know. Oh my God, I cannot read my handwriting. The last 2 books, more audiobooks. One of them, which I would actually like to do like maybe a more in-depth read on, is In Order to Live, a North Korean girl's like journey to freedom by Yeonmi Park. This was beautiful. if this is not a movie already, this needs to be a movie. I need to be the creative director. Like the ability to visualize like a world, I thought was fabulous. I thought the discussion of human trafficking, I thought it really touched on some beautiful parts. The phrases that were kept in, like, I think it was a fascinating story. And I mean, I don't think I've ever cried as much reading a book. I was bawling, and I don't really cry that much when I read books. This book was very emotional to me. And just the way that this girl had to grow up, the way that she had to take the responsibility for all of these things, and her perseverance, you know, it made me think about who would I be in a situation like this. And I don't know. I think a lot of people should read that book. Yeonmi Park, I think now is a bit of a controversial figure. Like, her politics now, I do not agree with, but I can also respect where she's been and why her experiences might inform some of the stuff that she believes now. Lastly, I read The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells on audiobook. I was surprised. I don't know why, but I thought the book was going to be like less about an actual asshole who was invisible. Like, he was a dick. And I was like, I wish we had gotten to the part where he was like a dick earlier. Like, I feel like I didn't need the mystery, you know what I mean? It's like, the book is titled The Invisible Man. I don't need all this like, ooh, people figuring out if he's invisible. I wanted the like last third of the book to be shoved forward, and then like the crazy parts to be a longer period, and then to kind of be more mystery of like, oh, where is he, what are we gonna do? Like, that part would be expanded. But yeah, cool concept, you know. Again, sort of more of like a classic English sci-fi piece that I wanted to read. Okay, I need to go. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to check on my bread. It's doing great. I'll have a little video clip of my bread inserted at the end. But oh yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention about this book, I bought this during Black Friday. I was not supposed to buy any more books. I think I have a genuine problem, and I really need to work on not buying books next year and like actually do that. Except I'm planning on going to Rhode Island, so who knows. But I wanted to show the other books that I got. This one is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I fell on the bandwagon. Okay, My Heart is a Chainsaw is one of my like favorites. I recommend to everybody, especially people who are like into like that, you know, genre. And so I was like, okay, I want to pick this up, and I hadn't like seen it around. I hadn't looked for it very hard, but I saw it caught my eye on the Barnes & Noble table, and I grabbed this book. I picked it up, and I'm very excited for it. I don't have a ton of back, like I've read the back, but like I've not really read the back, and I'm fine with that. I like to go into a book totally unawares. Next, from Cho Nam-Joo, she wrote Kim Ji-young, born 1982, which I don't know if I've touched on in this channel. I think it's like one of those videos that I filmed like 6 times and never posted. It was gonna be like my first one, and then it wasn't my first one. And I would love to do a review of that book because I have so many strong feelings on it. But I picked up her book, Saha, and this sounds really cool. I actually am gonna kind of read what this is about. In a country called Town, a doctor named Sue is found dead in an abandoned car. There is only one place the police intend to look for her suspected killer, the Saha estates. I'm not gonna read everything else, but I think that sounds really cool, and it sounds very different from Kim Ji-young. So I would kind of like to see if there's any similarities, I think there was something very creative about Kim Ji-young. Like, it was the way it was written was quite unique and surprisingly interesting for how it's written. So I want to see what this book does with that, and if it's, I don't know, I'm really excited. I think that this is a creative author, so there's that. And then they gave me a free gift with purchase, and it's a little book journal, a reading diary for bibliophiles. And I was like, maybe I will use this. I don't know, because I really like my way of writing down my books, but I kind of like including the little thoughts, so they have, you know, numbers of books you read. How many books can you read? It stops at 100, I think. You're not allowed to read more than 100 books. That's illegal. Otherwise, the book police will come and snatch you up. So yeah, you can read up to 100 books. It says start date, finish date. I never write down my start dates, and that's my problem. I always write down my finish dates, not my start dates. Authors, publisher, I don't care about that. Year published, fiction genre or nonfiction category, where I bought, borrowed, or found the book. I like that. Main characters or subject, my review and thoughts, and then it has overall rating, quality of writing, strength of characters, plot, and I like that's really cool to me. I like that it includes those other things. It also provides you with some book challenges, but it's like a book written by someone on a different continent. That's literally most of the books I read, I'm pretty sure. A book club reading list. Book club questions. What did you like best about this book? Anyway, I'm getting off track. I have bread to monitor. This was really cute, and it's nice that I got it. I realized that I made a TBR and I had some books that were supposed to be finished in November that just didn't get finished. We're gonna not really talk about that, and we're gonna see what happens this month. It was wild. It was a crazy month. I was in so many cars, and that's I think one of the reasons why I had so many audiobooks, because I was like, I cannot bring a physical book anywhere. But yeah, thank you, and I want to have some more like creative and interesting videos where I talk about like, I don't know, I want more creative videos. So hopefully in December I can actually come up with some like cool ideas that aren't just here's a book that I read, and or here are the books that I've read, and or here are the books that I purchased. Maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour. Maybe I won't. Who knows? This is the bread, the aforementioned bread. How do you like, yum.